Coach, why don't you just kind of wrap up last week, and then we'll take a couple questions.
Obviously, very pleased with the performance on the road against Eastern, who's obviously coming in at 5-3 and playing very good football. Got out in front, which was huge. We have not played out in front. Somebody asked me after the game, one of you guys maybe, and I was like trying to remember the last time we played with a lead, a legitimate 2-score lead in the first quarter. So jumped on, put together a couple nice drives right off the bat, and defense got a stop in between. So you're just getting there, and you're up 14-0, and now you can play the game the way you want and puts them, not totally out of their comfort zone, but they got to try to play catch up, which gets them a little bit away from their game plan. They got to try to force the issue and probably throw the ball a little bit more than they wanted to going in and be a little less balanced. And certainly we know how that feels to try to play catch up and get at it. We've talked many times we would have liked to run it more, but when you're down, sometimes you're forced to do some things that you'd rather not do to try to get back in the game. Defense gets 6 stops, basically in a row. The one field goal they gave up was after we fumbled and gave up a short field. They had a 7-play, 34-yard drive. So basically the first 6 possessions of the game defensively, they gave up nothing, which you're going to have a great chance to be in and have a lead. Offensively, we scored touchdowns on 4 of our first 8 drives. Obviously, there wasn't a ton of possessions in the game. A lot had to do with our offense. We had a 6-minute drive. We had a 5-minute drive. We had another 5-minute drive. We had a 4-minute drive. So the game, you have a lead and you can shorten the game and control the game and run the ball, which obviously we did effectively throughout, but really effectively in the second half. And then they score to cut it back to 2-score lead when it was 21-3. We stopped a 2-point play, and then we answer right back, which was huge because they had some momentum and felt like they're getting back in it. We marched right back down and score a touchdown. Gus hits Murph on a big play against cover 0. And then they score again, and we didn't score after, but we answered. We had a 5-minute, 19-second drive in the fourth quarter with a 2-score lead, which didn't end the game but put them in down where they didn't have a lot of time left. So I thought our special teams were solid, weren't as good as the last 2 or 3 weeks, but they were solid again. And our penalties were way down. We had 1 turnover. We gave up only 1 big play. All the things that we've been trying to work to get to play a really solid football game. And turns out you have a pretty convincing victory on the road, as an underdog in a game that not many people thought we were going to go and win. They're talking about becoming bowl eligible and all that. And they're a good team and they're well coached and they got a really good quarterback that we kept under control. He still made his plays. No doubt he's a great player and he got his yards, but we controlled him obviously to 2 scores. And then a defense that really hadn't given up much on the ground. We rushed for over 200 yards again and really got after him, particularly in the second half. So very proud of our rushing against a defense I think is really strong up front and does a good job of defending the run.
Yeah, how's Gardner doing?
Gardner's much better. He was close last week. Obviously, he didn't dress, so he wasn't ready to go. We're very optimistic he'll be at or near 100% by Friday night. So we wish we didn't have the short week. I'd like one more day, but that's the way it goes.
So what can you tell us about Central then?
Obviously, they've been the last few years one of the elite teams in our league. Very experienced, strong, athletic on defense. Have a couple seniors inside up front that are really good players. Their 2 defensive tackles have been really good players in this league. Got a really good linebacking core led by the middle backers. The number 8's a great player. Their 2 junior corners are as good as we've seen in a long time this year. And then they got a niece, a senior at safety, who's like the Holly kid, just makes tackle after tackle after tackle, and not super flashy, but makes tons and tons of plays. So very, very strong on defense. Offensively, obviously led by their senior quarterback, who's been one of the top players in this league for at least the last 2 years, if not 3. Just a really, really good player and playmaker. Good receiving core, good running attack, good play action game. They do a lot of the things that we've been building up to try to become offensively, of run the ball, grind you, and then play action, throw you over your head and create mismatch. So they're really well coached. They're really experienced. They're talented. They have a lot of confidence. I told our team the same day we were losing to Eastern Illinois and the world was coming to an end, they were beating Oklahoma State the same day. I said, so we were worlds apart 6 weeks ago. And I don't think they've gotten any worse. I think they're better than they were 6 weeks ago. I think we've got a whole lot better. So I said, we'll see how far we've come on Friday night, because when they were running up and down and throwing their helmets up in the air after their Hail Mary to beat Oklahoma State, who's one of the better teams in the country, obviously, we were losing to, Eastern Illinois in a very disappointing late game debacle. So it'll be a great challenge. It'll be the top MAC team we've seen so far, along with OU. It'll be a very similar challenge, and I think our kids are excited and confident to really have an opportunity to play a November home game we've been talking about for 3 weeks. Let's see if we can have a meaningful game in November at Miami. Let's see if, with 3 games left in the conference season, we're right in the middle of the conference race. We're 1 game out of first again. OU keeps taking care of business with a huge win on the road over Toledo last week to stay a game ahead of us. Obviously, we'd love to see Toledo win, but part of me likes the idea that a team like OU, who I know is good, and I know we played tooth and nail, just knocked off a team crossover game that is supposed to be one of the best teams in our league. So that makes me feel like we're even closer to where we want to be, even though I would have loved to see Toledo pull it out in the end, don't get me wrong. But great win for OU, great win for our half of the league. Obviously, us crossing over and beating Eastern, great for our half of the league. We won another crossover too. Kent State crosses over and beats Central Michigan. So there's 3 crossovers last week, and we've been kind of on the short side of those. Everybody's been talking. So last week, obviously with Toledo, Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan, 3 teams with very good records going the weekend, and 3 teams from our side take them down. So good for our half of the league, and good for how competitive this league is getting. And early in the year, we were talking about, well, the one half's really good and our half's competitive, but now it's, at least last weekend, it was pretty competitive across the board, because, that's 3 of the top 4 teams on their half record-wise go down to teams on our half. So, and then I told earlier on the radio there's 12 teams in our league right now, where there's 2 divisions, and we got a better record than 7 of them. So for our program, I think that's good for any program, but for our program here and now and what we're trying to build, for our kids to look at the standings and see that there's a team, 2 teams that have 3 wins. All right, one of them's 3-1 because they played 1 less game than us. One of them's Akron at 3-2, and then 2 teams that have 4 wins, and the other 7 don't have as many wins in conference as we do. So, just for our kids and our confidence, and for our recruits, and for everybody feeling about Miami football, that we've talked about how far we've come, but now you're starting to see the results in league play. That we haven't won. We won 3 conference games in my first 2 years here combined, and now we've won 3 conference games with 3 to play. We haven't won 3 games in a row since 2010. All the things that everybody's talking about, not a big deal to me normally, but when you're building a program, it is a big deal, and a particularly big deal for the kids inside that locker room to hear, I got Colin Buchanan, senior, JT. They haven't heard a lot of good things about themselves or Miami football. So now people are starting to talk about us and what we're accomplishing in a positive light, and that can only help grow their confidence moving forward, which obviously is huge for our football team.
Yeah, going off of that talk, there's been an excitement around campus I've been sensing that hasn't been felt since 2010. Like, people are starting to talk about this team.
I got you.
So what are the keys to making 3 in a row, 4 in a row against Central Michigan?
Obviously, bigger challenge because the physical battles are going to be even tougher. Last week, we really did a good job in the trenches. When you outrush a team 200-plus yards to 30 yards, obviously, physically, we did a great job in the trenches. Now, Central, the battles in the trenches, it's not going to be that lopsided. It's going to be, hopefully, we win one more battle in the trenches. They're good on both sides of the ball, and they're physical football team. And then it's us playing smart, clean football. We got to keep playing. Like I said, early in the year, our meal card, we just played hard, and we played together. We had a really tight-knit group that really played hard. We didn't play the game. Penalties, turnovers. We made mistakes. We weren't trying to make mistakes, but we made mistakes that obviously we come in here and talk about every week that we got to get corrected, and our kids and our coaches have done a good job. So we got to play a clean game. We got to win the turnover battle. We got to hopefully win the big play battle. They get a lot of big plays on offense, so we got to try to win the big play battle. Try to win the rushing battle. All the things that we've been talking about, equal wins, we're starting to do it, and we're starting to get the wins. So just harder against them because they're good.
With the short week being on Friday, game time, what's the routine like for the team? Normally they have Monday off. You guys go in today? And
Yeah, we'll give them Saturday off after the game. Will be their day off. But we're, week 10 for us, the fundamentals, they need to be there. The techniques need to be there, the timing needs to be there. This is about a mental preparation of getting ready for a game on Friday. Yesterday we had our same Sunday routine. We're only tweaking today a little bit. We're adding a little bit more today, but we're not doing anything physically today because we never do anything physically on Monday. And then, like everybody, when they get the short weeks, you lighten the load because you got to get their bodies ready to play. We can want to play and go play our best football, but there's a lot of guys in our locker room that played a lot of snaps this year, and just like Central Michigan, got a lot of guys that play, and their kids feel like their kids are beat up and sore and tired. And if you grind them all week, you might be really ready to play mentally, but you may not physically be ready to give your best effort. So all the MAC teams deal with that this month, obviously, of trying to take loads off your body. And the nice thing that, it's later in the year, so you should be relying on the time of everything you've done, that you shouldn't have to rep that same route that you've repped all year. You should just be able to take a little bit of the pace off and still be ready mentally. So it's a big mental challenge. And then just getting your brain right, because it's hard. It's Tuesday for us right now, and it's hard. It's even hard for me. My morning, I'm rolling, and I'm on like a Tuesday practice mode, and then I got all this media stuff. It just, your day gets very, and it's hard for the kids because their routines, they're going to have, their Tuesday practice. They go to Tuesday classes. That schedule never changes, and now tomorrow's going to be Tuesday, and they're going to be in a Wednesday practice mode and doing our Wednesday routine, but off their Tuesday classes just kind of throws you out of whack. So, but it's the norm in November for our league, and you just kind of get used to it. And easy to find excuses for why you can't play good, and if you're going to use that you're got an off schedule to not play good, then you're probably not going to play good. So to us, like the great turf question, or like, let's go. Like, we got a chance to get to 4-2. We got a chance to stay one game behind OU, or maybe they stub their toe and we can be tied for OU. We got a chance to have a 4-game winning streak at Miami football. You can, they could drive down here tonight and we'll play them at midnight. Let's go. And I mean, this is a crazy great opportunity for our team. And we're excited for our fan base. We're excited for our alumni base. We're excited that they have something to maybe, it's kind of like being a Cubs fan around here the last few years. Like, by November, no one's paying much attention to us, and rightfully so. And everybody's asked me, well, when the fans going to come back? I said, the fans are going to come back when we put the product on the field that's worth coming to watch. And we're not, trust me, I expect the place to be packed Friday night because we've won 3 games. But to me, we're starting down that road of where people and students and alums are starting to get excited. The last couple of weeks, I haven't got all the nasty messages and tweets that I normally get. So same people saying, they're actually saying nice stuff. So it's been nice, for all of us, that the same guy that, wanted to take my head off is actually saying some complimentary things about us and our kids. So, but that's all part of, as you build it up. We're not a championship caliber program yet, but we feel like we're getting closer and closer. And with every win, we get a little more excited, and hopefully our campus and our community gets more excited too, right along with us. So.
Yeah, so you mentioned the game against the Chippewas. There'll be a battle of the trenches. One battle could probably decide the game. So what are the steps you guys intend on taking to ensure that you guys have the advantage in the trenches once again?
I don't know. I mean, we've closed the gap, and we've won like a lot of battles in the trenches this year, which is amazing for us. I know we lifted hard yesterday, so I think, and we talked about like, hey, we might get a little stronger than them this week. They might be. We're going to lift hard again tomorrow. That's the one thing we're not backing off, because we've been physically so weak as a football team. When we talked about cutting back, somebody mentioned the weight room. I said, no, we're not cutting back in the weight room. I said, that's been kind of our meal ticket to get us to a level where we can get really competitive, is that we're not getting shoved around anymore. So I don't know anything we can do in 1 week to guarantee it, but I know our focus is on our bodies all the time, and our eating and our sleeping and our drinking and our resting and our lifting never changes, even during the season. Like we said earlier, a lot of our kids have gained weight this season, which is the first time in my 25 years we have really focused on our strength training and how we eat and sleep. And our kids, a lot of our kids, not all of them, but a lot of our kids have done a good job. And, a lot of kids are down 8 to 10 pounds right now. Our kids are not. Our kids are at where they were or up a few pounds, which is a huge benefit with 3 weeks to play.
Good? Coach, appreciate it.
Thank you.